Friends from the Road. You are now listening to the Friends from the Road podcast.
Gaining new friends along the journey. Sharing stories that inspire, encourage, and motivate.
Friends from the Road podcast. Now here's your host, Daniel Hurd.
Welcome everyone. We're here in Huntington Beach, California. It's actually a somewhat cloudy day. They're calling for some scattered showers, which will be the first rain that I've seen, I think, in California since starting this segment. But, so I'm here today. I'm visiting a friend from the road and my host here in Huntington Beach. We got connected in a way that a lot of my connections have happened through social media. And I'm really excited to share his story and his inspiring adventures. And so without further ado, I want to introduce Gregory Kampf. Greg, it's a pleasure to be here at your home and sitting outside here at this patio area. It's really nice and excited to talk about it.
Oh, well, welcome.
Thank you. It's been a few months now that we've been kind of chatting back and forth, right? I think, and how did we get connected? Do you remember how that happened?
Well, I remember, I think it was on the Facebook page that I happened to come across your story and your travels, and I took an interest in that and continued to follow along. And then I think I wrote into you asking, well, when did you plan to come to Southern California, and if you needed any assistance, if I could help in some way to let me know. I wanted to be a resource for you if needed. So, but that's been quite a ways back.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm finally here. It took me, in reality, I got here faster than I originally planned. But it still took me a little while. So.
Yeah.
But for me, my original plan was to be here towards the end of August, beginning of September, and finish my journey in November. I'm about a month and a half ahead of schedule now. So for me, I'm going to be finishing in Vegas the beginning of October now. So like I said, I'm actually here earlier than I planned, but it still took me quite a bit of time. But you, they always hear about me. I'm trying to talk to you.
Okay.
You just came back from doing your own trip, right? More recently?
Yeah, we did the Gap Trail out of Pittsburgh down to Cumberland, along with Lisa, and a few little side trips, but that was the main piece that we did, and we completed that. Had a great time. Did a little rafting and checked into the Falling Water, the Frank Lloyd Wright home that's near Ohiopyle. And
great area, by the way.
Oh, it's beautiful. One of the top 10 rides on the Rails to Trails in the United States. So, we wanted to have a chance to do that, so we had a great experience.
Yeah, that Gap Trail is, you said top 10. I'd probably say it's one of the top 5 in my experiences that I've ridden. But it's also, I think, paired up next to one of in my opinion, one of the worst trails connected to it, which is the C&O Trail. Did you guys ride that at all?
Only for about a mile,
okay.
Just so we could say that we were on that trail. But it's a different experience. It's a rougher trail, kind of more rustic. But, it has its appeal. Just depends on your style of riding, what you like. But the Gap was a great experience.
Yeah, the fact that for anybody that's never done the Gap Trail, the Gap's got hiker-biker sites that you can camp at. If I remember correctly, it's mostly paved, right?
No, only about 20 miles is paved, but it's such a hard pack
that it just felt like
that it feels like it's paved.
That's what it was.
It's a pretty smooth ride in most areas.
Yeah, even the grade going up the East Divide right there. I remember it's an old rail trail, so it's 3%, and it was really nice. I enjoyed that. How long did it take you guys to do?
Well, it took 5 days, but we had some side pieces that we had to get done too.
Of course.
Tried to have a balance in the ride, and when you're coming all the way from California to go there,
You gotta get time adjustment and everything
we didn't
else.
need to rush through it, so we took our time and enjoyed it, and that was great.
Good.
I think our longest day was 46 miles.
Yeah, no, I took it when I did it in 5 days as well. So I feel like that's like the average, and yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was amazing for you guys
Yeah, it was great.
to do it. But that wasn't your only trip you guys done. You guys do a lot of mini trips, correct? You and Lisa?
Well, I've done quite a few trips. That was
Okay.
really Lisa's first, extended trip that she's done. But I started doing trips back in 1993. Did a Seattle to Northern California, down the Oregon coast. Did another trip with some fellas out of Chicago, up through Upper Michigan, Wisconsin, and that was almost 700 miles. Later, we did another trip in Illinois, a 400-mile trip, and then I did the Katy Trail,
Yes.
which is, and actually we went off of the Katy Trail to go to Omaha, and that's where I had my accident, and that was in 2012.
Actually, let's come back. Keep telling about your story, but I want to come back to your accident.
Well, that's also did the gap in CNO, but had some breakdowns and some real problems in 2014, which was another reason I wanted to go back and actually have a successful trip.
Mm-hmm.
So, trips, things happen, as you know, and can delay you. And
Yeah, but the fact that, from my experience and from yours, we got back on the saddle.
Exactly.
We didn't allow that those fears to overcome us.
right, that's
Even
true.
though I don't know how it is for you nowadays. I still struggle with that fear, even though I'm pushing myself to overcome it.
Yeah.
Now, when do your journeys that you do? When do you typically get to do these? Like, is it a summer thing for you?
Well, right now it's mostly around Lisa's schedule.
Okay.
So it's generally going to be a summer activity. It would be nice if I could do it in April or May, or late September or October. But right now that's not possible because it'd be a little bit cooler.
Yeah. But the reason why you guys aren't doing that is because of you guys you're retired and she's semi-retired, but you guys have been educators your guys' careers, correct?
Exactly. Yes.
So you guys get, your couple weeks in the holidays, but you get your pretty much almost 2 months off in the summer, correct? Roughly.
Well, we're off from the classroom. A lot of people are going back taking classes and workshops, and there's different things, but the time there is a lot more flexible, so you can build a vacation and do some things. So that's a real blessing. One of the positive pieces of being a teacher. Plus, if you have a family of your own, all your schedules will sync up.
Yeah.
So it's a good benefit for family life, for your own family's life.
Yeah, for family and travel.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Greg, when I want to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about your accident and everything else that we want to continue talking about.
Okay.
Right after this.
Great.
If you like it when artists use repurposed materials to create working products, then you need to check out Stratasoul. Jason, the founder and creative genius of Stratasoul, creates all his designs by using repurposed bicycle inner tubes and other materials into personal and bicycle accessories. I personally have 2 extra large hydro buckets and a great under seat bag that are high quality and made to last. They are affordable. Plus, you're supporting an independent artist. So if you want durable, expertly handcrafted products made from upcycled materials, then check out Stratasoul. Link in the description to see all the top-notch products. Now, enjoy the episode. All right, guys, we're back. And during the break, I was talking to Greg, and he has this really inspiring story. So, Greg, I'm calling you out right now, and I hope you're okay with sharing this to the listeners. But it's really inspiring. Would you be willing to?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. So you were telling me, you've been in educating for, you said public service for 40 years originally?
41 years in my
41
career,
years?
yes.
Now, what got you into being an educator? Because based off what I was just told, that wasn't a thing in your family. right?
No, actually, all of the men in the family were electricians, and great job in the building trades. But none of the men in the family had finished high school, and none of my female relatives had gone beyond high school. So I was the first one that was not only able to finish high school, but to go to college, graduate, and move forward. I always enjoyed working with kids and doing activities and being with kids, and felt like I had a good rapport with students. So I considered a lot of different careers, but I decided to go into teaching, and so I began developing, at the bottom level. I was tutoring students. I began working during college as a playground supervisor, got to be an instructional assistant, and then moved into student teaching, and got my degree, and became an elementary teacher, where I taught for 10 years, and then moved into the administrative ranks, where I spent the last 30 years of my career. But all the while, it was about service to students, helping students, their families, making certain that they could reach certain goals in education, and that higher education wasn't just for some people, but it's available to all people if you avail yourself to those opportunities.
I love the way you said that, actually, that it's available for everybody. I don't think it's meant for everybody, but it is available for everybody.
Right.
And so, going to be the first person in your family to go beyond high school and graduate college and everything, was there any expectations for you to do that, or was that something? Was it the opposite, where you almost expected to follow suit with the rest of your family?
No, and I think that was the one thing that my mom and dad were really solid about, is that they wanted me to pursue whatever it was that I wanted to pursue. And they had a belief that, that I could be successful in college. And it wasn't always easy. It was a struggle at times. But I was able to get through school and to get into the career. The key thing was the ongoing support and belief that I could do it, even when I wasn't sure that I could do it. And I thought that was huge, especially from my dad, since he'd only gone halfway through 10th grade, was that he valued that and wanted to make certain that I was happy, felt like I was doing what I wanted to be doing. Mm-hmm. So, he spent 69 years as a member of the electrical union, and he was very proud of his profession. So if I had become an electrician, that would have been great. Mm-hmm. But it was more important for him and my mom that I had a chance to pursue what I wanted to do. So that was an invaluable resource for me.
Oh, just having parents that are so supportive of what you want to do. I feel like a lot of times we parents, we want the best for kids, obviously, but a lot of times we're hoping that they'll do certain things, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And sometimes that's, getting them into sports young and hoping that they like those things or even further on in life. But I love the fact that your parents really supported you in doing what you wanted to do. And I'm saying that again because I'm hoping the listeners and people that have kids take that piece of advice, and as much as we want our kids to be certain ways, you got to let them do their own thing and guide them the way that you can, so that they do things safely. But it's the life that they got to choose and come up with, right?
That's right.
I think that's really amazing that that's the way it worked out. So did you really, when you were going through schooling, did you expect to start at the bottom, or where was your plan as an educator originally, and where did you end up starting, and ultimately where did you end up finishing?
Well, after having some of those early experiences as a noon duty supervisor and an instructional aide, I did that for 2 school years. At that point, I knew I wanted to become a teacher, so I moved into further into the teacher education program and then graduated. But, at that point, my focus was on becoming a teacher and, exploring those possibilities, different grade levels and so forth. And then after teaching for 10 years, I became a school principal, elementary school, and I really enjoyed that. I stayed at the same school for 7.5 years and did a lot of different programs, worked with a lot of different families and students, and expanded the school, so that was successful. Then I moved into personnel work in a district office, did that for 6.5 years, and then ultimately landed up as a school district superintendent for my last 15 years plus in education.
Okay. And you actually did that in an area that I rode through, correct?
Well, I finished in an area that you rode through when you were up in Lompoc in northern Santa Barbara County. I was superintendent there for my last just over 4 years. I was up in Butte County, which is near Chico and Oroville, California. I was in that district for 11 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Now, did you, starting as the afternoon supervisor there, advisor person?
Playground supervisor.
Playground supervisor, that's it. Did you expect 30 years later to be a superintendent?
Not at all, no.
So, it kind of just happens, right? You kind of just keep building up and you keep getting... how does that happen? How do you become a supervisor?
Well, I think,
superintendent, I guess.
I think you have to have a vision, a realistic vision, and kind of embellish that vision with experience, successful experience, continue growing, exploring, being out there, doing extra types of things to learn more, to become more highly skilled. And so you're successful, you enjoy the work, you're working with students as a playground supervisor, and you're developing transferable skills that move up the ladder. And when you're a teacher, just teaching one grade level, maybe that's not the most advisable thing. Spread your time out over 2 or 3 different grade levels over the years. Learn about different developmental stages for kids, and it's kind of strengthens your background.
No, yeah.
So I think all of those kinds of things were very helpful. The other piece is that you have to not only have a vision, but you have to retune the vision. Every 2 or 3 years, that vision should be evolving. Say, well, gee, here I am now. Where do I want to be in 3 to 5 years? How do I build a path to that success? And what does that success look like?
Yeah.
And it's not success for yourself. It's the success is what you bring to other people and how you help them develop. And you basically, you're pushing boulders out of the road for students so they can be successful and help them along the way. Don't let them get hung up, but pick them up and kind of lift them through the tough times so they can continue their success. That's what's the enriching part of being a teacher or any kind of educator.
Yeah, anything that you can provide knowledge, I think, is an important thing that we all need in our lives.
And inspiration.
Yes,
absolutely. To help them through.
Now, so something I wanted to talk about that we brought up before the break, and I guess it kind of transitions it, is you got into an accident on a tour. And based off of my numbers, you were still working. You were a superintendent then, correct?
That's correct.
How did, before we get into what happened in your accident, how did the accident affect your ability to be a superintendent, or at all?
It made it really difficult for a while there. I was on vacation, so from work, touring across Missouri on the Katy Trail, and then we were going off of the Katy Trail to head towards Omaha, where Julian, the person I was riding with, his daughter was in medical school in Omaha. So we were going to go up there and then see her and then come back home. So I was off duty after the accident for about 5 weeks in recovery and getting myself strong enough so I could go back to work. And then I was able to go back for part-time for a week or two, and then I moved back into full-time.
Wow.
But I was in a wheelchair for 3 months. So I went back to work in the wheelchair, and that was my existence for just over 3 months.
I bet the kids felt like they were at least you were at their level at that point, right?
Yeah, I was able to see eye to eye with them. Yeah, sure. But still, even in the wheelchair, I went out and visited classrooms and did most of the things that I was doing before. It was just a slower pace, and every step or everything I had to do was very deliberate and planned out. And I got help from a lot of people. My administrative assistant and different folks on the school sites would help out too, to try to make it easier.
That's one thing that we all need, especially in those tough times.
That's
we
right.
need people to come together, and we need a community, and that I'm thankful they did that for you.
Yeah, so was I, yes.
Now, so I'm thankful that you were able to continue finding a way to get into work after that first initial period. But for the listeners, they don't know what happened. Let's talk about what happened in this accident, and what injuries did you acquire?
Okay. Well, we were on the road east of Kansas City, Missouri, and we would have been there the next day. It was 102 degrees, so it was a scorcher, and we're on the asphalt. Long hot day. We're cruising along, and Julian was about a quarter of a mile ahead of me, so there was a little bit of gap there. A fellow who'd gotten off work was driving a Ford F-150, 60 miles an hour down the highway, hit me from behind. I went flying. I did a nice roll, so my head didn't hit the ground, and I was just basically kind of splattered there on the side of the highway, and ambulance came, took me to the nearest treatment center, which was just a very small town. They came and then airlifted me back to the University of Missouri in Columbia, where they had an orthopedic specialist who could deal with my injuries. I had my pelvic ring, which basically is kind of goes around your hips, had opened up about an inch or inch and a half, and I had my leg was broken in 2 spots, plus all of the cuts and so forth from the road.
Yeah.
So they had to perform surgery, but they had to wait an extra day because I was so dehydrated from the heat.
Yeah.
And then they had to stabilize my blood pressure because it was, there was an issue with it dropping so much. So that was at some risk.
Wow.
Once they got me stable, then they were able to have surgery, and I got out of that hospital in 6 days, and then I went to rehab hospital for 12 days, where I went through how to walk using one leg, because I couldn't walk on the other leg, but using a brace, a walker.
And how to put on socks and all that stuff.
All of the different basic skills, how to get yourself out of the bathroom, how to take a shower sitting on one of those plastic benches.
Now, did you break your left leg or your right?
Left leg.
Okay, so your left leg was just like mine, except you broke it. I just ripped everything off of it.
Yeah, I broke it in 2 spots, the lower part of my left leg. So the rehab hospital is a great facility. My question to them was, well, I kind of had to accept where I was. And then the question is, how do I get out of here? What do I need to do to get out of here? How do I graduate from this?
Yeah.
How can I get back to my real life and get better? And I just had to keep that as my focus and not just kind of wallow in the blues of what's happened to me. But, okay, it happened. How can I get better?
Yeah.
And I went to work. So
Yeah. You kept your mind busy.
kept my mind busy and said, okay, well, I only did 12 reps on that yesterday. Today I'm going to do 15. Or the weight was this, let's make it more. How many do you want me to do of this? Always kind of challenging myself to not only meet whatever they wanted me to do, but to try to do 1 or 2 more reps, just to do extra work. Because
determination is a huge thing that a lot of us, even if we have all the support in the world, if you're not determined to do it, you're not going to get it.
You're not going to get there.
I think that's something that me and you definitely have in common, is we're determined to keep going.
Right.
Now, Greg, before we finish up, because we're getting close to finishing here, is there anything else that you wanted to share about your adventure that I missed or anything like that before we get to my closing statement?
No, I think we pretty well covered the accident. That was 9 years ago, and I'm really fortunate to have survived the accident. You know, just a blessing that I was able to pick things back up and continue and get healthy. And, you know, I'm 97% normal.
Yeah.
Well, some people might dispute that, but, you know, but I have almost all of, other than severe arthritis and so forth, but I'm manageable and I'm able to ride my bike. So
we were able to go riding yesterday together, which was amazing.
Right.
And, you know, I think it's important to, you know, I'm thankful that you overcame your fears and you were back on your bicycle as soon as you were able to, and
vice versa.
And thank you, I appreciate it as well. And you know, even being able to go back out and kind of like what I'm doing right now is to continue that mission that you didn't get to finish, or to, you know, redo it type thing. Do you feel like if you didn't get back out there and redeem that journey, that you would have held on to that as a, like, a, you know what I'm saying?
As a disappointment.
Yeah.
You mark it up to a disappointment, and if you leave it there, it kind of festers.
It becomes a regret.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm like, gee, I should have done something about that when I had the chance to do it. And I just don't want to live that way. I want to deal with it and say, okay, I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to check it off the list. But it's a mindset that I think is valuable through life, to go out and get it. I might slip and fall 3 or 4 times, and I'm going to get back up and keep at it. And once in a while, because I'm a lucky fellow, I may have a friend or two that help me up.
Yep.
But we're going to get there. And I have to remember that if I'm in a position to help others, then I need to step up and help them too. And
absolutely,
it means a lot to them. It means a lot to, you know, to myself, to my soul, how I perceive myself. Those are all critical attributes that a person needs to have and needs to work with them.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. With that, is there any advice that you want to give directly to the listeners, you know, about your own journey and your inspiration?
Well, dream big and work hard. And if you feel like you're qualified and that you could be qualified, then, you know, have a path, talk to people about it, and you can get there. And to never slow down and just keep at it.
Great advice, Greg. It was, one, it's a pleasure to finally get to meet you in person. 2, amazing that you allowed me to open your home to me to spend the night. And 3, to take the opportunity to do a podcast episode with me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, sure. Oh, my pleasure.
Well, until the next one, guys, we'll see you soon. Copyright OPAT Movement 2021.